Hello, Bad Math community. This is Amy Baskin. I'm a poet from Portland, Oregon, and I would like to thank Rebecca Aronson for inviting me to share some of my work with you here. I'm delighted. So thank you, Rebecca. The work that I would like to share with you tonight is around the concept of the divine feminine. You may have noticed that it's on the ascendant right now, and there are many forces that are uncomfortable with divine feminine energy that are fighting to quell it out of fear. So that's what these will be about. I'll be reading from my current chapbook entitled Hysterical Cake, which came out in December 2021, January 2022 with Dancing Girl Press, thanks to editor Christy Bowen. And also from my upcoming collection that's coming out in April 2023. It's a collection of Lilith mythological and modern poems on Lilith, the first woman. It's entitled Nighthag, because Nighthag is one of the many epithets for Lilith, the woman who would not submit to any man or god, and who's often called the demon goddess of abortion, a succubus, basically a horrible hag. And I love her. And this is the cover art for my book that's coming out. My husband made it out of lino cut, and that is Lilith. And I told him to tell everyone that those are my boobs. Okay, here we go. First out from Nighthag, a few poems. The first poem is entitled The First Woman on First Love. What did we know of anything then? We were not there, and then we were. I don't remember not being. Do you? Before I saw my own, I saw your own, tender bud. I had no conception of you, of me. My eyes looked at your lips. Your eyes looked at my breasts, my belly. Our hands reached out. With mirrored palms, we met each other's gaze, reflecting our hunger to know more about ourselves through each other. I shaped you with my own fresh hands so I could peg you. You mouthed me into mounds that gave you comfort, unconscious though we were. Other animals watched us, and we watched them. We mouthed them too. We did take turns at first. I mounted you, you mounted me. We stopped to sleep and wander through the garden to feed. We put everything inside us. What stayed down, we stomached again. What came up, we used to clean house. Purgatives all, senna and castor. One day I wandered restless after sex had put you to sleep but had left me unsatisfied. I found that tree and ate from it, that tree that God forgot. He later forbade it. When I returned, I looked upon you, sleeping still, and saw we were the same, yet all the same, different. I had tasted carnal seeds and knew to love does not mean to obey. You never understood this. The next poem is called Lilith Reflects on Adam. He smells like loam and mold like me, but acts as if he's made of stone. His body is hard. I've inspected it, and rough. His face is soft, though matted with fur of wolf or pelt of seal, slick when he surfaces. His body is warm. He makes heat every night as I lie with him. His body is large. So odd, he seeks shelter within me every night. I am his cave, his proper refuge. The next poem is entitled A Wanted Child. When my belly rounded, gravid from the seed that Adam planted, and the blood that stopped restarted, and a head crowned and slid out, and my muscles cramped and ejected a frail facsimile of Adam, I knew that God had had a hand in this. God had pulled the kill switch. And I knew that if God could, that I could find that switch as well. Somewhere in God's creation lies that lever to shut off my machinery. And though at first I felt disconsolate, in time I didn't miss carriage within me wherever I went. Instead, release of an unburdening. If God could do this to me and my child, then my child, so could I. And this fourth poem from Nighthag is entitled Mammary. Adam was betrothed to me, but he was not my first love. Yahweh, God of war, Abba, Father, where did you put my mother? What have you done with her? You did not birth us, Adam and me. We came from mother's soil. I know you forced her to wean me, but I recognize her scent, our strongest memory. I sense she is near. I remember crying, hurt. I remember she removed a log from my eye with a surprise squirt of her milk, her sweet, healing liquid, not bitter and violent like yours. Are you angry I refer to yours at all? You would have me say nothing? What have you done with my mother? Did you see her as a lesser element? Are you afraid of sharing credit for the creation of the universe? Why do you insist we pretend you could ever do it all by yourself? Okay, and here are some from Hysterical Cake, which is also a reflection on motherhood, femininity, young femininity, aging femininity. The first poem is called The Sky Marries Enduring Atlas. He hoists my womb, celestial bowl, upon the slabs of his shoulders. I shudder, threatening to spill my contents, poised for ruin. Joke that he's the key, but I'm a combination lock. He places a craggy ear along my ether, deciphers every thunderhead. When I warn him of infidelity, he wonders if I mean hospitality. I summon thieves to our garden, bear its golden fruit, and patiently, while carrying his burden, he kneels and harvests each apple first. I kiss his ridges, his head my peak, his hair my forest playground. I rush forth from him downstream and heated rise again to shower him. The next poem is entitled Temporary, and if you listen, you will hear the title of the book mentioned. When I felt as though a piece of myself was missing after giving birth, that's because a piece of myself was missing after giving birth. If the transitory nature of my pregnancy took me from what once seemed a stable frame of mind to what next felt as manic as an organ solo on acid after giving birth, perhaps that's because I felt a piece of myself, a flat slab of hysterical cake, form, set, bake, and then flop out of its springform pan. A birthday ache that gifted my child life after birth. The next poem is entitled Leavings. There was a man, no, many men, who touched me, mouthed me, ate me. I swabbed their cheeks with my tongue. I see them in my son and daughter, though they are not their fathers. And women too, many times over. Anyone who ever changed me has entered me. I have a gate with no lock, permeable as a cell block. molecular as connective tissue and equally empty. Stay a while. Then pass through me, and the residue you leave behind, I will smoke it. Inhale you until you too leave no trace. The next one I wrote specifically for this collection, starting with Hysterical Cake and a young maternal impulse. I wanted to write from the perspective of an older woman, and it's entitled Last Slice. Crusted dry like calamine, hardened, the color of a wound, the texture of a scar. Once fought over testily, a soft crumb, hungered for, fluffed with butter and sugar until light and full of eggs, she had expanded. She had dropped easily into the bowl by the spoonful when given a gentle shake, stirred into milky figure eights, sifted over, folded and mixed, not overstirred, never overworked. Now, hunched on a paper plate, slumped against the back wall, congealing under shrink wrap behind olive jars, cowering from the fridge bulb. It will glare on. Then a hand will reach in, and a mouth will consume her in private, in shame, or in disgust, dispose of her. I'm particularly entranced right now with cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. Perhaps we all are. And this poem is entitled the Tandava, which is the dance which Shiva performs at the end of an age. Our world is ending now. Those who expect one massive explosion that lifts them saved out of their shoes and into the arms of a hot-muscled savior do not see it. I never thought the end would be so constant, so continuous, so utterly devoid of finality. There is no door to close on the courtroom while we rest down the hall. The jury deliberates, but air, soil, and water, the acting tribunal, have exhaled the verdict for now, and all parties are bound. I step outside in the rain, watch the wheels of Shiva roll down the city street during prime chaos hours, see an addict dance between traffic, recognize him as my own son, blue-faced and covered in ash, wave him down, cup his cold, wet cheeks in my hands, and smiling at me, he whispers, "In the cycle, growth happens next." I have one last poem I'd like to share with you here, and thank you again, Rebecca, for making this possible. I greatly appreciate it. This last poem is entitled Pluvial. Like raindrops, practice falling, say once a week, just as something we do, like flossing or scheduling sex. It becomes our nature, like laughing or clapping. Land and bond, covalent in our failures. Huddle routinely in cold potholes. Wait for our mistakes to evaporate. Fall again, without knowing where to land or with whom. Raindrops know they will splash and form puddles or hit pavement. We should learn as well. Expect each sudden misstep, each pool of blood, skinned knees, scraped palms, bear witness to sacrament. How ordinary, how manifest to rise up again. Thank you all so much.